Today is May 31st, 2022. This meeting of the Hingham Select Board is called to order. If everyone could please stand and face the flag of our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please take your seats. First item on the agenda is an approval of minutes. Liz, you ready to proceed?
Yes.
Joe, you ready to proceed?
I am.
With that, then I'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve the minutes dated May 24th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there need for further discussion? With that, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is to consider approval of a special one-day wine and malt beverages license to Thomas Piles on behalf of St. John the Evangelist Parish for Summerfest 2022 to be held on Sunday, June 12th, 2022, with a rain date of Sunday, June 19th, 2022, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I see Mr. Piles is here in the audience. Tom, good to see you again. If you don't mind stepping up to the microphone, and if you could just state your name and address just for the record. We all know who you are, but just for the record, and tell us what you want to do and a little bit about the event.
My name is Tom Piles, 727 Main Street. I'm here on behalf of St. John's Parish, right up the street, right down the street from you guys. We have a year-end barbecue every year, save the last couple of years. We have rides and stuff games for the kids and barbecues and some beers and wines for the adults. And it's a great time to regather after a 2-year hiatus. So we appreciate your consideration of allowing us to go ahead with this.
Tom, thank you. I know we do have Chief Jones with us tonight. Chief, if you could approach the microphone and tell us about your review of the application, if you have any concerns or comments.
Sure. Good evening. David Jones, the Chief of Police. I have reviewed the application, and the only consideration asked is that they have a police detail, which I know that they were advised of, just due to the amount of people that are there in the location.
Chief, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
I reviewed the application. Everything looks to be in order, but let me turn to my colleagues with any questions or concerns. So, Joe, I'll start with you tonight.
This looks great. Wonderful event. I just want to ask about parking and access, just to make sure that you've got sufficient parking and that people coming in won't be blocking up the streets.
Well, one of the reasons that we have not had a police detail in the past is that we do not allow parking except on a limited basis up there. The parishioners find parking on the streets, Water Street, Meadows, Main Street, and they have no issues as far as finding parking and getting into the facility. So,
Okay.
But we will consider having a police detail.
Great. That's all I got. Thank you.
Liz?
Great. No questions on the application. Thank you. It sounds like a great event. I certainly would encourage the police detail, just with people crossing there at that crosswalk. I know that gets a little crazy.
Okay.
But yeah, it sounds wonderful.
Great. Just for the record, I'll ask if anybody from the public has any questions or comments. Not seeing any. With that, I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the request of a special one-day wine and malt beverages license to Thomas Piles on behalf of St. John the Evangelist Parish for Summerfest 2022 to be held at the St. John the Evangelist Church grounds on Sunday, June 12th, 2022, with a rain date of Sunday, June 19th, 2022, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there a need for further discussion? Hearing none, motion will be called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Tom, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you again, Tom. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Take care.
Next item on the agenda is to consider approval of the agreement with Integrated Electrical Systems Incorporated, T labor work and materials for a replacement generator at the Lincoln School Apartments. And we have with us tonight Kathy Rowley to tell us a little about the contract and the project. So Kathy, if you could bring us up to speed on this, that'd be great.
Okay. The Puckern Management is the company that manages the building, the Lincoln School Apartment Building, and the manager, Craig Chisholm, contacted me probably 6 weeks ago about soliciting bids from the state contract, and so I gave him the format. And so this one's a little bit different than the typical way that we do it, because they are a separate entity. However, it requires select board approval because it's over $50,000, and they got 3 or 4 legitimate bids, good bids, but this was the low bidder, and they're happy with it. It has a long duration, only because there's a long lead time for the piece of equipment, maybe January or February, they were told. So this isn't going to happen immediately, but this is to get the contract signed.
Great. Kathy, thank you. It's my understanding when we met with the Lincoln School apartment leadership that they had budgeted for this as part of their capital plan, correct?
They had, and they also voted on it on May 23rd.
Great.
As a board.
Excellent. Fantastic. Any questions from my colleagues? I'll turn to Liz first.
No questions, thank you for the materials. I know this came out of the capital plan,
Yes.
and that this kind of rose to the top as a priority, so I'm glad to see that it's happening. Do you know if Corcoran has worked with this vendor before?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But they're from Braintree, so they're local, and they are on state contracts, so they've been vetted
Okay.
that way.
Okay, great, thank you.
Joe.
Yeah, thank you for moving on this. This is a priority. Are these payments budgeted for the current fiscal year or for next fiscal year?
I'm not sure that it goes by fiscal year with the board. Is that right, Tom?
The LSA board does. I think they use a fiscal year.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Dates, it's a different fiscal year than ours.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it's consistent with the budget.
It is.
With the- it is.
I just don't know
Okay.
off here, which if there's September.
Yep, okay. And could you just review for us the payment schedule, how often the vendor gets paid? Because, there's
It's
a
not-
year contract. Do they get progress payments, or is it end of the project? How does that?
Sure. Typically, we don't do progress payments on larger things like this, that where the vendor has to take it on himself to place the order and,
Right.
hold the place in line, I guess, at the manufacturer, that we can do it if we approve it. Another example we did recently was, we're going to have to do that with the fire engine that we're going to be procuring. Same thing, they have a payment schedule to get the project started and for larger
So
pieces of equipment.
I'm just looking at the bid, so it looks like it's being paid one-third, one-third, one-third. A third when the generator is production, a third when it's delivered, and then a third upon completion to the satisfaction of the owner.
Right, right. So once it is delivered and installed, it'll be paid, the final bill will be paid.
Yep. And is the pricing fixed? Because I'm just looking, it looks like there's a provision due to extreme fluctuations in pricing. Okay, the manufacturer reserves the right to provide updated pricing after 30 days through the time of release of production, and final pricing will be established at that time. So is this, are we secure in this pricing, or can it go up?
It's my understanding that once the electrician gets this from us, they'll place the order and the price will
Fixed.
stand. If there is some unusual, supply chain issue that they document, it could possibly be amended. But the intent is that this is a fixed price because we're going to give the okay to go ahead and place the order.
Okay. If the price does go up, does it come back to us? Does it come back before the board if the price
Yes.
exceeds the 78?
Yep, because it
if
would
the
amend
total
over
price changes.
50,000. we would have to get, obviously, detailed information from the actual manufacturer and all of that to document that that actually is the case. But it's such a weird time with the parts and things like that. But
Okay.
the word is that because, as soon as he can get that order and he holds.
Right, so we should get this in sooner rather than later.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Anything else, Mr. Joe?
Nope.
Anybody from the public like to ask anything? Okay. With that, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to sign the agreement with Integrated Electrical Systems, Inc. to provide labor, work, and materials for a replacement generator at the Lincoln School Apartments in an amount not to exceed $78,996.
Second.
Is there a need for further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Kathy, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate that. Next item on the agenda is public comment. I'm going to read this into the record. The Hingham Select Board encourages community engagement and welcomes questions and comments as agenda items are discussed at the meeting. In addition, we have set aside up to 15 minutes for public comment for items that fall under the purview of the Select Board and are not already on tonight's agenda. If any guest wishes to speak, please seek to be recognized. Once recognized, state your name and address and address your comments to the chair. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker and must relate to topics within the scope of the responsibilities of the Select Board. Speakers are encouraged to present their remarks in a respectful manner and not indulge in personalities. The public comment period is not a time for debate by members of the Select Board. The Select Board is not adopting or endorsing any of the comments made during the public comment period. Anybody like to address public comment at this time? Seeing none, we move to the next item on the agenda, which is Select Board Town Administrator Report. So let's start with our Assistant Town Administrator, Art.
Sure, thank you. I just want to provide an update on the blood drive that we had scheduled and executed earlier today from 11 to 4. I'm pleased to report that we had 28 appointments, reflecting the fact that we were fully subscribed up front. We did have some people who didn't show, but we had 8 walk-ins fill just about all the gaps. It includes 13 new donors, so it's clear that we reached some new people. More importantly, I think we've done a good favor for the community by hosting this drive, and I know the American Red Cross would love to talk with us about how to do it again.
Great. Thank you, Art. Good job on getting the word out for that, too. Appreciate all the publicity that you did in doing that, Art. Turn to Tom.
Great, thank you very much. So I just have a brief COVID report for the evening. So COVID report for today, May 31st. The federal CDC does continue, unfortunately, to report Plymouth County, our COVID-19 community level as high. And at this level, the CDC recommends the following: that folks wear a well-fitting mask indoors in public places, regardless of vaccination status, that you stay up to date with COVID-19 vaccines and boosters, that you follow the CDC recommendations for isolation and quarantine, and that people should get tested if they have in fact been exposed. The town's COVID-19 dashboard on our COVID-19 updates webpage shows the following: that the current data on there is from May 8th to May 21st. It is compared to the previous week of May 1st to May 14th. The 14-day average incidence rate is 57.7. That is up from 56.8, a 1.6% increase from the previous period. And Hingham's 14-day average positivity rate is 15.2%, up from 14.55. And that's a 4.3% jump from the previous week. We will continue to update the dashboard on Mondays. We will remain vigilant and continue to monitor data and take coordinated action as needed, as we have throughout the pandemic. I will note that a brief insight into the more granular data that we get sometimes. I have had a conversation with our executive health officer today, and it's starting to look like some of the data is in fact trending back down, which is welcome news. But that's it.
Tom, thank you.
You bet.
We'll move now to Select Board reports, and this evening we'll start with Liz.
Nothing to report tonight, thank you.
Great. Joe?
Just wanted to thank all the town officials who were involved in the Memorial Day events, and really to thank our chair for giving a moving presentation, well-received by, I know, the entire community. And there was a subsequent event at Linden Ponds that was equally interesting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for saying that, Joe. Yeah, I was going to add, I was also going to say that, and for those who attended our Memorial Day ceremony yesterday, it was just a really wonderful event, and so many groups and so much work went into it. The Hingham Police Department Honor Guard, the Fire Department, the Legion, the VFW Honor Guard, the Veteran Service Appreciation Club, the Hingham Militia, and I know I'm missing other groups too, but so many groups make that day so meaningful. Our speaker was wonderful. But the one guy that put it all together is a director of Veteran Services, Keith German, and we would be hard-pressed as a community to find another ceremony on November 11th or on Memorial Day that is done as well as we do it here in Hingham. And Keith is the individual who runs Point, who makes it all work. And it really is wonderful. And I'm just so appreciative of those ceremonies and want to just thank him and all the great work he does. So, all right. Just want to read this statement before we conclude tonight. Executive session with the Personnel Board. The Select Board will be engaging in executive session with the Personnel Board to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the DPW Teamsters Local 25 Union pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, because discussion in open session may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the town. The board will not return to open session. So with that, do I make a motion to adjourn, or do we just move to executive session?
We move to executive session.
With that, then we move to executive session. Hope everybody has a good evening. Thank you.